We got this, unfortunately.
I would assume I'm in Beijing. If I wanted to buy property near one of their military installations, I don't think President Xi...
No, they wouldn't let you. I don't... Look, it's not that I love it. You want to see farm prices drop? You want to see farmers lose a lot of money? Just take that out of the market. But they've had a lot of land for a long time. Obama did nothing about it. They bought a lot of it during the Obama administration. He did nothing about it. As far as the students, it's 500,000 students they come, good students.
They're not good students. There's a lot of rampant cheating. We've learned about this in prior news articles for many years now.
I could tell them, I don't want any students, is a very insulting thing to say to.
I don't care if it's insulting. You need to tell them that. You need to tell them that. That's 500,000 seats at universities that could go to Americans. Like, your entire platform was basically send them back. You cannot renege on the send them back when that was your massive platform.
Country. They would then immediately go out and start building universities all over China. But if you don't have those students, good students, by the way, if you don't, and we do another thing, you know, if they're good and they want to stay in America, we won't give them a green card and things like that. You know, and that, not only them, but other countries. But if you want to see a university system die, take 500,000 people out of it.
Good. If the university dies without 500,000 Chinese students, it deserves to die. If the university cannot survive if we replace those 500,000 Chinese students with American ones, it does not deserve to exist in America. It should not be here. Good. Let them die.
And you know, the ones that won't be hurt are the top schools. The top schools will do fine, but your lower schools, the ones that don't do quite as well, those two, they'll be dying all over the place.
What?
I frankly think that it's good that people come from other countries and they learn our culture, and many of them want to stay here. I think it's good.
Yeah, they don't learn the culture, and many of them want to stay here in order to spy. What do you mean? What are you doing?
Not everybody agrees with me, and it doesn't sound like a very conservative position. And I'm as conservative. I'm a conservative guy. I'm really a common sense guy, I think, more than a conservative guy. I think MAGA is common sense, you know. People understand we want strong borders, we want strong military, we want good education, we want low interest rates, we want, but
I think people would argue they worry about, do they have nefarious intentions?
Sure, I know, and we worry about that, and honestly, you know, they do things to us and we do things to them. It's a very, very fine line, the whole thing with students. So they have 500,000 students, and our university system does great. You know, it does great.
It's not doing great. Even if we removed the 500,000 Chinese students, the university system is still not doing great. You know why? We need to remove all of the fucking communists who have implanted themselves in teaching positions. Then we can make the university system great again. That's what needs to happen. And they want to learn the culture, which is why they have made a Chinatown in every major city in the country.
You want to screw it up? Take 500,000 students out, and you're gonna see bankruptcies at the lower end of good colleges, but they're not known or whatever. You're gonna have a lot of problems. So it's something I'm always looking at, but it's a very insulting thing to tell a country, we don't want your people.
I don't care.
Schools. I mean,
I don't get. You've said it to other countries, so what's the problem with saying it to China? Arguably, our #1 economic enemy, I guess you could say. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing, Orange Man?
It really is. Now I'll have people say, "Oh, that's a terrible thing," you know. It is a very insulting thing, and it's very interesting. It's something didn't come up today. Came up last time. But I will tell you that school systems don't want that to happen because you won't have much of a school system.
All right, Mr.
We already don't have much of a school system, and importing tons of Chinese students does not make an American school system better. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. Like, that is like an insane thing to say. They will never open up their market to the U.S., which is what this position is for. Fuck the liberal cuck school system. Trump is a lifelong Democrat who ran as a Republican because Hillary Clinton laughed at him when he told her that her policies would leave him unable to donate to her causes anymore. I mean, it's like, I don't think having, like, some criticisms of Trump means that, like, I fucking hate everything he's done. I think that's a weird mentality. There's a lot of good that he's done. I should be able to criticize him when something is wrong, though. I should be able to criticize someone that I voted for, especially. Like, that's crazy. We need smart Americans. Right, exactly. 5D chess to get some sort of oil deal. You don't know? This was really weird. It's very weird. Don't like it. Jen Jacko, thank you. You know, Trump was our guy because we had no one else. But at this point, let's clone Lowe and get him in here. We need someone like Lowe. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. You know, this rhetoric is bad, but student visas are down from 2024 to 2025. So it could be something that he is saying for geostrategic reasons, since India and China visas are down from 2024. So we can look at the 25 to 26 numbers to see if this is empty. I mean, yeah, it could just be like a baseless platitude thing for like foreign people watching and being like, oh, he's not actually going to be as strict as he told his people. It will be fine. Maybe. I don't know. He's still a politician, so it's like he could be fucking us, he could be fucking them. Maybe we're getting double fucked. I don't know. The Cato Institute advocate for mass immigration says, give up on the mass deportation fantasy. 1 in 5 Fairfax residents is someone who could be deported or lives with them. It would destroy neighborhoods. I don't know who Brendan Gill is, but he said, 20% of the population in any U.S. county being deportable means that our immigration laws have completely failed and that drastic action is needed to fix the problem. And I agree with that, and I'll let this guy say the quote.
The first step would be to give up on the mass deportation fantasy. About 1 in 5 Fairfax residents is someone who could be deported or who lives with them. It would destroy neighborhoods, rip Americans away from their spouses,
They're
parents,
not Americans.
friends, families, customers, employees, employers, nurses, nannies, and teachers.
Stop! I can only get so erect. They must all leave. Did we fucking stutter? I don't think we did. If 20% must be deported, that's not a fantasy. That's about to be reality. They need to get the fuck out. The more that these people say they've been here for a long time, the angrier all of us should be. If you've been here for decades and have not attempted to become a citizen and are thus subject to deportation, you deserve that. Get the fuck out of our country. What are we even talking about? Come the fuck on, dude. Here's one swear word for the day. Fuck off, we're full. This day, Walker, better pray we only want 20%. Deporting them is all we do. Deportation is the nice option. I want the nice option. I do not want any option beyond the nice option. And people like this are fucking crazy. 30% of the population of Europe died during the plague. You know what happened? The Renaissance. If we can deport all of these illegal immigrants, we can have another Renaissance. Let's fucking go! I can get the poofy dresses. Can we deport the entire Cato Institute with the illegals? Sure, why not? Let's go. Why not? I quote retweeted this from the Department of State, saying that this is historic and should inspire feelings of hope that things will change. And I know how correct I am because a lot of angry replies from groypers happened after this. There were so many people saying that they're tired of like lip service or they're tired of like any kind of statements, but it's like if you look at this and you still like follow the I'm tired of statements narrative, you've completely lost the plot. For our government to come out and say something that for the last like 15 plus years people have been unpersoned, ostracized, caused to lose their jobs, lose their sponsors, lose their platforms, lose their channels, lose everything. The fact that our government is coming out and saying this directly should be something that people can look to as a white pill. The Department of State said last week, the United States refused to participate in the UN's review of the Global Compact on Migration. The United States objects to the Global Compact on Migration and the UN efforts to facilitate replacement migration to the United States and our Western allies. This is in line with exactly what Keir Starmer said last year as well. I guess 2024 was when he said it. This is also in line with what Hillary Clinton has stated about why would Americans have children? That's what we have immigrants for. Remember when the UN was supposed to be used to stop another Hitler moment, and now they're doing this shit? The UN has become the Hitler. UN agencies systemically facilitated mass migration into America and Europe, even as citizens of those nations called for restrictions on migration. Now, the Global Compact's latest report urges nations to expand migration pathways and pursue regularization of migrants. No, comrade. The situation will not be normalized. UN agencies working with the NGOs they fund established a migration corridor through Central America and to the US border. As the American people suffered under an unprecedented wave of mass migration, the UN was on the ground pipelining migrants to our southern border. UN officials greeted migrants along the route through the deadly Darien Gap. UN-funded NGOs handed out maps to migrants en route to the US. After facilitating mass migration to the United States, UN agencies condemned the deportation of illegal immigrants. As Europe endured sustained migratory pressure, UN officials staffed all ends of the Mediterranean migration route, from the coast of Libya to the shores of the Aegean and the islands of Greece. The UN agencies condemned frontline states who refused to open their borders. While the United Kingdom faced unprecedented illegal boat crossings, UN agencies condemned plans for deportations. UN officials lobbied aviation regulators to prevent the deportation of migrants, an appalling violation of the UK's national sovereignty. The Global Compact on Migration claims to support safe migration. For the citizens of Western nations, mass migration was never safe. It introduced new security threats, imposed financial strains, and undermined the cohesion of our societies. The United States will not legitimize global compacts that enable mass migration into America or Western nations. Under President Trump, the State Department will facilitate remigration, not replacement migration. And yes, I would love to see what action they take to facilitate this, but the fact that our government is saying this point blank is a huge, monumental shift. This is basically what I have been begging for, right? For politicians and people in positions of power in our government to say, fuck optics, I'm going to tell you what's happening. Because when they do it, it becomes safer for other people to openly acknowledge reality. And yes, there are still going to be the subversive fucking freaks who try to get you fired. They're going to try and get you in trouble, but they're losing power. Cancel culture is still around, unfortunately, but they are losing power, and they are going to try and claw back any last grasps of power that they can before they are rendered completely fucking sterile. So this is a huge fucking thing. A huge thing. The White House quote retweeted the Department of State and said, under President Trump, replacement migration will never be the standard. The United States objects to the Global Compact on Migration and UN efforts to facilitate replacement migration. And there's an image of Trump with replacement migration crossed out and the word remigration. And while I do still side-eye Trump for his comments on like Chinese students or stuff with like H-1B nonsense, I don't like some of the stuff that he says. It is an incredible, monumental, historic thing for the government to be saying something like that. It's almost like, did they give the accounts to fucking Rupert Lowe? What's happening now? And I quoted this with an image of whoever the fuck Micah Irfan is. I don't know who that fucking cuck is. But he said, this is an explicit call for ethnic cleansing. And he posted a screenshot from Wikipedia saying, remigration is a far-right concept referring to the ethnic cleansing via mass deportation of non-white minority populations, especially immigrants, and sometimes including native-born citizens, to their place of racial ancestry. Originating in Europe, the concept has since spread to the United States, blah, 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 the screenshot cuts off. Anyone acknowledging, like, the migrant crisis was called racist, Islamophobic, any kind of, like, term. You're called a Nazi, you're called a white supremacist, right? You're called all of these things in order to create a culture of pressure to get you unpersoned. Now that the government, and not just someone like Hillary Clinton, not just someone like Keir Starmer, now that the government is acknowledging this, they need to move to the next step. They can no longer call you a racist Nazi conspiracy theory for acknowledging that this is happening, as the government has acknowledged it. So now they need to move to, it's actually a good thing that this is happening, and if you want remigration, you're the racist Nazi. You cannot fix the problem because you're still a racist Nazi. So they're trying once again to put you in this bubble to prevent you from talking about what's actually happening. Your head hurts trying to understand the logic? Yeah. It's insane logic. Sending people who should not be here because they came illegally and under false pretenses, sending them back to their countries of origin is not racist and is not ethnic cleansing. That is fucking crazy. And also, if you want to believe that remigration, sending people back to where they came from, is ethnic cleansing, then you would also have to admit that the replacement migration is ethnic cleansing, as it's people being brought in to replace the native population. They would be the same concept if you think that remigration would be ethnic cleansing, which it is not, unless you're a retard.
Let me address one thing here. Systematically replaced by immigrant. I don't care about the intent. Now, I do believe that there is intent. Why? Because they've said it. Not all, though. Many leftist leaders have said, yeah, you need to change these demographics. For example, you saw that ad in Germany where they were having a threesome with an African, I believe, migrant or Middle Eastern. You saw those ads from Denmark.
No, alles ist nicht okay. Was ist das? We're making it to the cock chair. Was ist los mit dir? Oh, only Germany could make something that gross. What the fuck? How? Why? Why would you want a commercial promoting sexual degeneracy? Jesus Christ.
Where they said you actually shouldn't marry or procreate with people of your own race.
I did see that. There's been that whole, like, if you're white and you have children with another white person, that's white supremacy. It's literally they just don't want you to exist anymore.
That's racist if you're white.
Only if you're white.
Yes. Yeah. So there are plenty of people who have said you need to change the racial demographics because these nations are too white. That's some of them. You can't prove that there's a cabal and that all of the people involved are pushing this proactively. I don't care. Intent doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It is happening. That's a statistical reality. So let's get off the, you're saying replacement theory, which is a white supremacy. You know what? No, I'm just saying that numbers are shifting and white people are being replaced.
Yep.
White percentage, white Christian percentage going down, Islamic migrant, African migrants, non-white Anglo-Saxon migrants going up.
And that's how they get you. They say that it's a conspiracy theory, and that evokes the, the people are blaming, the Jews, they did this. They try to peg you with that so that people will unperson you and attack you and get rid of you, and you will no longer be able to talk about the reality that's going on.
In some countries, it's already hit a tipping point. That is a statistical reality, just like you don't need to make the racial argument primarily or the intent of crime. Just point to crime statistics. These are...
That's why they had to make it a bad thing to talk about statistics in the first place, man.
What they are. Do not blame me.
Exactly. You should not be blamed for what the statistics say, for what the politicians are telling you they're doing. It's insane. Great replacement theory is separate from demographically replacement. Yes, exactly. Great replacement theory is something completely different. But if you acknowledge, like, these statistics, like Steven Crowder is saying, the people who want you to shut the fuck up and get rid of you, they will say that you believe in great replacement theory so that everyone attacks you and you become unpersoned. It's not great replacement theory. You can just look at the statistics. It's like built-in fact. What is Mr. Big Chief have for us today?
I cannot fulfill this request. The provided text contains highly offensive, hateful, and inappropriate language, including racial slurs, anti-Semitic remarks, and references to violence and child abuse. My purpose is to be helpful and harmless, and I cannot generate or reproduce content that promotes hate speech, discrimination, or harm.
That is probably the perfect thing to overlay that Grok answer to. God damn. The head bob. That was actually a pretty good AI voice for him too. What the hell? What the hell? Thank you, Grok. Very cool. I thought this was pretty cool, especially because I was like, hey, it would be kind of fun to like visit places like Croatia and Estonia. And here's Croatia apparently being based. Croatia has stormed the Eurovision final with a historic anthem that denounces the Ottoman occupation and revives the ancient Christian tattoo tradition to protect young girls from rape. Performed entirely in Croatian, the song slams centuries of Islamic Turkish occupation of their lands, and recalls how Catholic girls were tattooed with Christian motifs to stop them from being abducted, converted to Islam, and forced into sexual slavery. That's why many chose the grave. Our mothers did not birth slaves. Turkey's already attacking the group for performing the song. And there's some of the lyrics down here, because like the song is obviously, as they said, in Croatian. I can't speak that. So it says, when you light a candle, ask your grandmother why she gave birth to daughters in fear. Why did so many choose the grave? Our mothers did not give birth to slaves. So many tears have flowed like a river. Why is our history written all over again? Our sons are not subjects. Do their cradle cries wake you at night? Take me for yourself, queen of this land. The soul is yours. To them I'm just a body, just flesh. Lead me to the stars, to the shattered nests, there where, amid screams, they send off soldiers. Lead me to the stars, far from the gazes, Andromeda. All the scars carved down to the bone, no mother will forgive you. On the table of shame, the gold from necklaces, while they wash their hands in the blood of our wounds. And then they repeat the word traitors over and over again. Pretty cool lyrics. I don't know if this will get DMCA'd. It's in Eurovision, so it probably will. But I was like, that's pretty fucking badass. That's pretty fucking cool. There's Eurovision, and then there's Eurovision. Bet you Hassan watches this and calls the band white nationalist. Did they have to blackface them in the submissions and tell them a false translation? Days Vault, my dude. Australia was in the top 5. How is Australia in the top 5 for something called Eurovision? Kinda weird. I read some of the English lyrics, but it sounds pretty fucking cool. It's nice to see something evoking like traditional culture instead of just being, you know, what we're used to in music nowadays. Israel came in second. Imagine if they why are Israel and Australia in a contest called Eurovision? I just don't make no goddamn sense. You see, you asked yourself that question the other day. They allow non-Euro countries like Israel and Australia, others, to LARP as Euro if their broadcaster stations are members of the club. They're not Europe, but they get to LARP in the competition. That seems kind of stinky. That seems kind of stinky, man. Government makes brokers financially liable for accidents their drivers cause. Now all the Indian truckers can't pick up loads in multiple states. Based.
So I'm over here in Eden, Ohio, and there's a bunch of foreigners over here. You know, this guy right here, the guy right next to me, all along in all these trucks, okay? None of them can get loads out of Ohio today.
Can't get no loads in Ohio.
And I was talking to the Iman guy right here while I was in there at the Punjabi place getting something to eat. And he said that the reason that they can't get freight out of Ohio today is because the freight brokers won't work with them anymore.
Good.
Okay?
Good.
Apparently, what has happened is that, you know, yesterday they had the Supreme Court ruling that found brokers could be held liable for accidents with carriers with red flags. Apparently, that the trickle-down effect happened like that. Okay, brokers are just saying, no, there's a whole lot of other trucks. We don't need you. We're not going to use you no more. Okay.
Good. Oh, this is so great to hear.
DOT numbers to these guys, and they
Sing
do
in hand.
have
You know he's the real deal.
Track record.
This guy would absolutely blow his horn if he drove past a school bus of children who did the arm motion. That was like one of my favorite things as a kid. And I hope that all decent truckers continue to carry on that tradition. It makes kids so fucking happy when you do that, man.
Of unsafe behavior, accidents, high out of service rates, things like that. So guys, here's what I gotta say. This is gonna be changing in a hurry. Brokers are not just thinking once about it. They're thinking twice, 3, and even 4 times
Good.
about who they want.
Good, they should have thought about that before they were forced to. Come the fuck on. Need to end the H-1B program and send all those on H-1B visas back to India, including the anchor babies? Absolutely including the anchor babies. Ain't no way. Sail Boy, thank you. For this, as long as it's not forcing small businesses out of the market in favor of giant companies who give the brokers kickbacks. I don't exactly know what you mean by this. I don't care about the size of the company. If you're hiring foreigners, you should feel the penalties. You're hiring people who shouldn't be here, who can't even read our signs, who get into accidents and kill people. They shouldn't be here. Get them out. And this is also why I've said I want repercussions for not just the fucking like freight loaders or whatever they're called, but I want it for the trucking companies as well. Like, it shouldn't just be the freight people, it should be the companies themselves. And as someone had pointed out, some of these companies are so nefarious that they'll be like Sanjal Trucking, and then if they get caught, they'll just rename to like a Trucking Sanjal or whatever. It's like, yeah, that should also be looked at. Like, you shouldn't be able to just recreate a company out of thin air because your original company got into trouble for being illegal. Nothing will change if the people doing it don't get hammered into the ground also? Yes. Absolutely yes. Like I said, enjoy your DEI corporate no fun allowed because people like Anita Sarkeesian might get mad and call us problematic slop. Microsoft/Xbox is a dead company. Here's a Asman clip.
Okay, alright.
Yeah, okay. Very funny. But no. And you know why.
So not only does it say inappropriate content, you specified something that was blocked by the language filter, please try again. But an NPC also told him, no, you can't do that. Literally cannot even have retard on your license plate because of how many crybabies have infiltrated gaming. This is ridiculous. You would also do this IRL if you were allowed. I've seen somebody have a license plate that said retard, but it was spelled with letters and numbers. That's just real unfortunate, man. That's just real unfortunate. You can't even have fun in a racing game anymore. What? May 15th, 2026. Trucker who killed Canadian Olympian gets 30 months? That isn't even 3 years! It's just literally fine to kill white people. An Ontario judge has sentenced a trucker to 30 months in prison for killing former Olympic figure skater Alexandra Paul and severely injuring several other people, including her infant son. Bro! Sukhwinder Sidhu pleaded guilty this past winter to dangerous driving causing death and dangerous driving causing bodily harm in the crash that killed Paul, 31, and injured her infant son in Maleckthon Township, Ontario, on August 22nd, 2023. On top of the prison sentence, the judge issued Sidhu a 7-year driving prohibition, according to multiple media reports. First of all, why doesn't Canada have the death penalty? Second of all, why is he given a 7-year driving prohibition instead of being fucking deported? The court heard the trucker had been driving for nearly 16 hours when his truck collided with Paul's car on Country Road 124. According to the judge, aggravating factors in the case included Sidhu's driving record and the fact that he was speeding in a construction zone. So you're telling me that this guy already had a shitty driving record where he's fucked up multiple times before, and once again, instead of deporting this thing, you give him a 7-year driving prohibition. Bro. With judges like this, who even needs maid services in Canada? Unironically, Sidhu was driving at about 107 kilometers an hour in an area where the posted speed limit was 60 kilometers an hour. Paul's was one of 7 vehicles involved in the crash. The collision sent the Olympian's car into a ditch. Sidhu pulled Paul's son with fellow Olympic figure skater Mitch Islam out of the wreckage. The boy was reportedly taken to the hospital with a broken leg. Islam told the court their son has been stripped of his mother's enduring love. He'll have to hear about how much she loved him. He will only know from stories about how amazing she was. Islam learned about the crash from a police officer who pulled into his driveway just as he was about to go looking for his wife and son. When the officer told me Alex was gone, it was crippling fog and numbness. I remember buckling into his arms. Paul's mother testified about her daughter's outstanding personality. What was taken from Alex hurts me more than what was taken from me, she said. The world is not the same to me anymore. Speaking directly to Sadhu, Paul's father said what happened that day was absolutely soul-crushing for all of us and shouldn't have happened. Paul was simply amazing and had such a bright future, said her dad. I didn't get a chance to say goodbye. I couldn't give her another hug. She was just gone. Sadhu took full responsibility for the fatal crash. I know there's nothing I can say that will fix this or make the grief any better. I understand that an apology can never be enough for a loss like this, Sidhu said. To every person who was injured or traumatized that day, I'm deeply sorry. I know the pain and impact of what happened did not end when the crash ended. According to Skate Canada, Paul and Islam won multiple international medals, claimed 3 Canadian championship medals, and competed at the 2014 Olympic Winter Games in Sochi, Russia. She retired from competitive skating in 2016. After skating, Paul became an associate lawyer at Baronston Law, where she loved the challenge and the work, according to her obituary. I don't like this for multiple reasons, but the fact that he gave this, I'm deeply sorry, I know the pain and impact of what happened, and seeing that he only got 30 months makes me think about how this kind of justice in Canada is going to become like what's happening in Germany, where it's like, oh, the perpetrator admitted they knew it was wrong and they regret it, therefore light sentence. We don't need to put them away for decades for murder. They knew it was wrong. Get out in 30 months or less. Yay! Such a tragic loss of life. Something that like just should not have happened if we weren't importing these people. Like it shouldn't even have been an accident to have happened, which is what I've said almost every time one of these accidents happens. Danny D, thank you. Gotta remember they want to abolish prisons too. I feel like somebody who wants to abolish prisons is just being a malicious fucktard. Like, there's no way someone is actually dumb enough to think that would be a good idea. So the only option left is anyone who advocates for that is a malicious liar who knows what will happen. On June 4th, Omar Khadr, a Canadian national, will be charged before a U.S. military commission for allegedly killing an American soldier in Afghanistan in 2002. At the time, Khadr was just 15 years old. I don't think that matters. I don't think that matters that he was just 15 years old if he killed a fucking U.S. military person. What are we talking about, bro? The United States accuses Khadr of murder and attempted murder in violation of the laws of war, conspiracy, providing material support for terrorism, and spying. Now 20, I guess this was published, whatever, he was 20. Khadr has been in U.S. detention for nearly 5 years. 2007. Okay, there we go. I was like, I couldn't find the fucking date. It's June 2007 behind my big hat. Despite his age at the time of the alleged offenses, the United States has refused to acknowledge his status as a minor, or to apply universally recognized standards of juvenile justice in his case. Why the fuck would they? What is this? Why the fuck would they try a guy literally charged with treason as a fucking minor? What are we doing here? You know what I have as a bigger question? What the fuck was a 15-year-old supposed Canadian national doing in Afghanistan in a war zone? Can people in Canada, like, apply for the military at 15 instead of 18? What are we doing here? Does America even have a procedure for trying someone with war crimes as a minor? I don't think you should be tried as a minor if you've committed fucking war crimes. What are we doing? He was a part of Al-Qaeda. Dead men tell no tales. It's just like, war is not a pretty thing. When I think of like some of the stuff that happened in the sandbox, you had enemy sand people combatants sending out children with grenades, sending out pregnant women with suicide vests, because they knew that they could use the logic and the sympathy of the Americans and other Western army forces against us by like, oh, they're not gonna want to shoot a child or a pregnant woman. And most people don't because they're sane, but it's like, these people are being sent with suicide bombs and grenades. If I don't shoot them, this is so many men dead. And now we're supposed to care when a 15-year-old kills an American soldier? Are we kidding? Are we kidding here? The U.S. alleges that at age 10, Kader's father took him to meet al-Qaeda leaders, and that in the summer of 2002, at age 15, he was sent to receive military training from al-Qaeda, and ended up on a battlefield soon thereafter. He was captured on July 27, 2002, after a firefight in Afghanistan that resulted in the death of a U.S. Army Sergeant First Class, Christopher Spear, as well as injuries to others. Kader, who was also severely wounded in the firefight, was initially detained at the U.S. airbase in Bagram, Afghanistan. In November 2002, he was transferred to Guantanamo Bay, where he was declared an unlawful enemy combatant, housed with adult detainees and subjected to repeated interrogations. I feel like if you go to Guantanamo Bay, your life is to just get waterboarded until you give up the info or you die, and I don't understand why anybody has a problem with that, to be fair. Sounds like the father should face charges also. It sounds like he should. This doesn't have any of the information about, like, Trudeau getting the guy out. Is there more? The U.S. failure to implement juvenile justice standards. I hate these people. Both U.S. and international law requires governments to provide children, persons under the age of 18, with special safeguards and care, including legal protections appropriate to their age. While children should be held accountable for their crimes, international law requires that they be treated in a manner that takes into account their particular vulnerability and relative culpability as children, and focuses primarily on rehabilitation and reintegration. Yeah, so I remember those, like, white British teenagers who went to the Middle East because they thought they wanted to join ISIS, and then after they got there and realized how ISIS treats people, especially white British women, they wanted to come home. No, first of all, my opinion is, you chose this path, you get to live with it, buddy. Enjoy your new life as a slave. But also, why would we treat a minor that went to join al-Qaeda with any kind of rehabilitation and reintegration? Absolutely fucking not. What are we fucking doing? This is absurd to the nth degree. If someone joins a terrorist organization, they are treated as a terrorist. I do not care about their age. A body of international treaty law and standards establish fundamental norms when dealing with alleged juvenile offenders. Yet, the United States has consistently failed to uphold these internationally accepted standards in the case of Omar Khadr, specifically. So what you're saying is that international law exists so that minors can be used to perpetrate war crimes and not actually get any punishment for it? That's kind of crazy and makes me think that international law is fucking worthless. 1. Length of detention, prompt determination of case. International standards provide that the arrest and detention of a child must be used only as a measure of last resort and for the shortest appropriate period of time, and that the case be handled as speedily as possible. You know what's fucking speedy? Executing a terrorist! Instead of detaining him at Guantanamo Bay, we could have waterboarded him, gotten information, and then just executed him. That would have been the preferable thing to do. Kader was detained at Guantanamo for more than 3 years before he was charged in January 2006 under the first set of military commissions set up by President George W. Bush. Well, see, that's not fair. He shouldn't have been imprisoned for more than 3 years. He should have been executed much sooner than that. His case was dismissed when the Supreme Court declared those commissions unlawful in the case of Hamdan versus Rumsfeld in June 2006. I just hate everyone involved that I'm reading. Torture's not a reliable way to get good info. You're not going to get good, reliable info from any kind of person who hates you, your people, and your country, and has sworn, like, fealty to destroy your nation by any means necessary. So it's like, you might as well see if he has any information and then just get rid of him after. Whether it's good or not, you can figure that out with your agents after. Why did we even capture this guy? He was an enemy combatant on a battlefield. You're allowed to shoot them. Probably captured because Canadian? I don't know how they would have known that, but yeah. Length of detention, prompt determination of case. International standards provide that the arrest and detention of a child must be used only as a measure of last resort. I can't really care. I can't really care about whatever international standards provide. I don't care if you're 10 years old, 15 years old, 18 years old, 25 years old. If you participate in a terrorist organization and you kill people, why are we doing anything besides just ending your life? Like, why? It's like these people would unironically look at, like, ISIS greatest hits Hollywood films of, like, burning people alive in cages and be like, oh, Oh, but think of how the poor ISIS men would feel if we punished them for burning people alive in cages. That would be barbaric and racist of us. That's just their culture. I'm so sick of these fucking people. Absolutely sick of it. Detained children have the right to maintain contact with their family? The family that sent him to be an Al-Qaeda fighter? Amnesty International. Fucking what? This is humanrightswatch.org, by the way. Human Rights Watch unironically trying to protect fucking terrorists. What am I reading? What am I reading? Why would you want to protect terrorists? Shut the fuck up. This is why no one takes you seriously. So, OffKai this year, for like a TLDR, OffKai blacklisted me from appearing on panels because I was, I guess, too problematic. They claimed, and this is how they weasel word you, they claimed it was volunteers who felt unsafe. Turns out it was actually staff who hate me. And the examples they gave me for, like, why I made the supposed volunteers who are actually staff feel unsafe were, like, gems such as changing my pronouns in Discord to Burger Queen, explaining the difference between the LGBTQ acronym in Canada and the US, because our acronym for LGBTQ, like the long one, the super long one, that's different. So I was explaining the two different acronyms to someone. That's apparently bad. You can't know what acronyms mean. And then I also made a joke about Sam Hyde entering, like, women's weightlifting competitions. I also commented on, like, Tim Pool doing DEI stuff and how he was wrong about DEI being over. That's bad. You know, you're not allowed to talk about that. And so I was blacklisted from appearing on panels. A lot of disingenuous cunts will tell you that I've been banned, which isn't true. I can still buy a ticket and give them money, but why the fuck would I give money to people that hate me? And, like, whenever I come across a VTuber that's, like, hesitant, they're like, I would love to go to OffKai, but I don't know if they'll let me, and I don't know how to, like, promote it, you know? And it's just like, I wouldn't, right? Because if OffKai wouldn't like you, by extension, they don't like your audience. And if OffKai doesn't like your audience, why would you encourage your audience to spend money at OffKai? And so I do the exact opposite. Anyone who's just like, no, you should volunteer at OffKai if you want it to be better, absolutely fucking not. You're not gonna make it better. You're just going to give them your time and your money, and they're going to laugh at you like, look at this fucking retard. He's giving us time and money when we hate him, and we're not going to change anything. Because it's not the volunteers, it is the staff that is paused. They want to play political games, but only allow one type of politics at the con. In my opinion, conventions for VTubers should be completely fucking apolitical. There should be no politics going on at a VTuber convention. That's insane that I'm the one that has that opinion here. To make it better, you need to eradicate the cause of the problem at the root, which won't be possible 1,000%. Like, if there was an actual VTuber competitor con to OffKai, I would be funneling so much fucking money to them. Because it's like, I want anyone but OffKai to prosper. I want to see OffKai desolate, in the dirt, fucking done. I don't want it to exist anymore. And I think after all of the shit that they pulled, anyone who doesn't have that same opinion is valuing being part of a clique more than they're valuing having a convention that actually gives a shit about them or their audience. And OffKai has also done things like when they had their maid cafe. The maid cafe had a requirement for, like, COVID vaccinations, despite it being last year, where nobody even had that requirement in healthcare services in California. Kind of fucking wild. And we also found out, since, you know, nobody wants to believe Foxu, but we thankfully had the OffKai staff last year talking about how, yes, it was on purpose that they sabotaged FaZe Connect stuff. It was on purpose. They were trying to get rid of Pippa, and the people that wanted to get rid of her are still working at the con, according to that person as of last year. And I would not be surprised if OffKai is the type of convention to, if somebody gets public pushback as a volunteer or staff member, they would temporarily get rid of that person and then usher them back in without any announcement later on. Would not be surprised if OffKai participates in that kind of thing. Politics has been forced in a field against your will. To say I want it to be apolitical is suicide because you would be the only one to enforce that rule. Well, it's like I said, right? There are many people who took umbrage with my existence in VTubing because I slowly got more and more political as time went on. The reason I got more political is because leftist political influence kept encroaching in my spaces. They kept coming after anime, they kept coming after video games, they started coming after VTubing. And it's just like, the only way you're going to stop the rot of political activism from the left is if you have a counter bulwark saying, no, get the fuck out. There is barely any pushback against leftist politics, but when I pop up and I try to stop it from ruining things, I'm the one ruining the sphere. And I'm glad that I've been able to do as much as I have been, because more VTubers have been popping out saying, no, this kind of political activism should stop. If we want things to be apolitical, we can't be the fence-sitting, I would never, ever criticize the left. We have to say, actually, no fucking politics. Because when you allow leftist activism, that's how you get more of me, who gets fucking sick of it. I think that happened to a lot of us. Almost never talked about politics until like 2018, even though you always cared pretty fucking much. Look at the attacks on Tomoe for her charity for US soldiers. She's an active duty one herself. She can't even talk politics because she's an active duty military. That's like, they're literally excluded from being able to publicly espouse anything political, and yet people still attack her for it. It's fucking wild, dude. They will say, but it's a rights issue and being a decent person to speak freely. And it's like, I think that any VTuber should be able to say an opinion that they have for any reason. But if you start getting activists clamping down on the space, you can no longer say certain things, you can no longer do certain things, that's when it becomes a problem. When the people who are like, I don't like that, but that's fine, I just won't watch it, that's what we need. We don't need the people who are like, I don't like that, therefore everything should change because I don't like it. Thankfully, you've seen more and more chubas coming out and saying they're sick of walking on eggshells and start standing against leftist politics. Good. Good. That's what people should be doing. Stop being a I just want a grill guy and start defending your desire to grill. Why does everyone want minors in every hobby so fucking bad? It's not like with normal things like sports where it's parents bringing their kids along. I don't know. I like, some people were like, no 16-year-old is gonna want to go to a convention with their parents, so the minor consent form makes sense. My dad took me to multiple conventions when I was a teenager, and he would just kind of wander around, check out the convention food. He wouldn't be up my ass the entire time. He generally trusted me to be like a smart individual and not get into things I shouldn't be in. And I even remember being at Anime Boston when I was a teenager and being like, I can't wait until I'm 18 so that I can go into the adult section. Cause it's like, fuck man, some of those artists are primo. I fucking love so many hentai artists because they're amazing with their artwork. Family-friendly horror experience. I'm trying to think of like something else I saw on Twitter in regards to this. Oh, someone was like, even if it's in the main hall, it's probably gonna have black cloth draped over it. And you know, they're probably just gonna have like family-friendly meet and greets with their Oshis. They're not gonna be doing anything pornographic in the main exhibition hall. And it's like, that's not the fucking point! Fansly is a pornographic website. I don't care if the meet and greets at the Fansly booth are not pornographic. This is pipelining minors into porn. What are we doing? Well, I thought these were the people who were like, oh no, the grooming. But now it's fine. Now it's fine that minors get used to having Fansly around. People have forgotten what happened to JonBenet Ramsey and the media flurry that around her, old news, but we consider it relevant enough for current year. Considering OffKai is also known for having many consent accidents, a la people getting their drink spiked, or people having like orgies in their hotel rooms, this is not a place for minors to be. But if OffKai is determined to allow minors, they should not have front and center anything to do with pornography. This Fansly shit should be completely squared off in the Yabai Hall. This should be after hours, after dark. I don't care that they're gonna make less money from it. That's kind of what you sign on to when you decide to be pornographic. Orgies are just a con thing in general, to be honest, unfortunately. It's not only Fansly. Why is a VTuber convention 13 plus when there's probably 18 plus art and merch out there in the open? VTubers are not family friendly by default. I'm sorry. Yeah, I just do not understand. Like, it's like people who don't know, don't understand, and don't like VTubers run OffKai at this point. At this point, you think people simply go to TwitchCon to spike drinks, not to assault women, but just for the sport of doing it to see who gets fucked up? I would not be surprised if there's a kick streamer who does that. Mildly OCD, thank you. Me, incredibly generous, benefit of the doubt, is that they're trying to have their cake and eat it too by getting tickets from children, but also getting free money from an 18 plus website because zero morals. I mean, that is the really generous benefit of the doubt. However, they could have stuck the Fansly Expo thing inside the Yabai market. They could have put them in the 18 plus area. According to this flyer, they are just in the regular exhibitor hall. Sorry, Kirsche, but 90% of women don't have political opinions. They absorb normie thought via void osmosis. Well then, let their bloodlines die. Do not give them children. OffKai orgy sponsored by Fansly. It's all so fucking tiresome, man. It's all so tiresome. And I hope that no one in my audience gives money to OffKai. Once again, don't give money to people that hate you, and if they are willing to blacklist me over incredibly baseline jokes about pronouns and Sam Hyde, yeah, they hate you too. And so you're just giving money to people who would cheer if you died. And I don't want to see people in my audience doing that.